But you know, you have,
I was going to call her.
well, it's true. But anyway,
there is a corrected set of buildings. Jim's got it.
Sam, are you selling the car? Are you selling the car today?
I thought it'd be important if this meeting, you know. I want to hear what everybody right. I just
Scream it out.
I noticed a new river going down the street this morning. Still flooded though with the thing.
did it all go down there.
Yeah, you know, entrance there by 15 people. We don't need it.
Oh yeah, you and I did.
Yeah. But yesterday it was just like, and that was so example.
Well, you know, he's lucky he didn't go to his house. Because that's where it is.
Well, I think it got to a certain height and it was just running off.
This is for, here's the sign-in list. Here's the sign-in list. Do you? Okay. Yeah, that's already got everybody sign in? Okay.
I didn't see a sign in this back there.
No sign-in list? Jack, there's no sign-in list?
And then it's
Still sign through? Okay.
So there's force.
I thought like, we could. I don't know where they went. People had to do something.
One more bit.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I know Dave.
We also
Is that
We'll have to do the comments. And it's the first rodeo.
It's flashing.
Wee bit closer, like one starter, so like
Oh, no, they didn't have it. We're going through
Maybe I should remove my smoked salmon. I made a batch this morning. Now it's good. Each half the first one for me. Apple chips.
Okay.
No, I put that.
Okay. We'd like to call the meeting to order. Peggy Baxter, would you like to say the pledge, since you have not had a chance to do it? Over there now.
Begin. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Mr. Secretary. We have some minutes for you to read off. Steve, you gotta do it now.
All right, we got a whole bunch of minutes for regular board meetings. We have March 26th, 2022, 10 a.m. meeting. March 26th, 2022, 2 p.m. meeting. March 26th, 2022, 3 p.m. meeting with the new board. April 7th, 2022. For executive session minutes, we have March 26, 2022 at 9:29 a.m., March 26, 2022, 9:30 a.m., March 26, 2022, 11:05 a.m., March 26, 2022, 4:33 p.m., March 30th, 2022, April 7th, 2022, 3:30 p.m., April 7th, 2022, 3:47 p.m., April 19th, 2022, April 21st, 2022, to discuss member discipline, hold member hearings, third-party contracts, pending or threatening litigation, and personnel matters.
Anybody second it?
I moved to, or was that a motion?
Yeah, the motion to pass those minutes.
I'll second.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Any discussion?
Yeah.
All for it?
Oh boy. Hold on.
Yes.
You need to remove the March 26, 9:28, 9 a.m. It was the 9:31, Steve, so.
Well, there's two versions of that. Well, there's the legal and a personnel, because it was one
Oh, but the
personnel.
legal
matter.
is just for the attorney. You don't have to approve that. The
Okay.
attorney minutes, you don't have to approve.
Oh. Well, I've got
For the
two, I've got
orientation.
two attorney minutes in there.
For the orientation.
So you want to, should we strike those two?
No, just the 9:29.
The 9:29, right, the 9:29, but also on April 7th, the 3:30 is the same thing.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So you got the April 7th, 3:30 you can strike, and March 26th, 2022, 9:29, right?
Yeah.
Right, because the first one go, yeah.
But if you had an executive minute meeting on April 7th for show cause, you have attorney minutes, then you should still have executive minutes. That, you could probably talk about other things also.
That's the 21st. Yeah, that was the April 21st was the show cause.
The 9th, April 7th.
No, the April 21st.
April 21st was an ACC show, guys.
and then we met afterwards.
Yeah.
That was the emergency session.
Steve?
Oh, yeah, for you.
Are we gonna make a motion to strike those two then?
Yeah, with that correction, put in, my motion is to approve those minutes with those two corrections.
Any discussion? All for?
Aye.
No, yes.
Okay, time for members' comments.
Comment number one, you turn the mics
Microphone's
on.
on,
Microphones on? Okay.
Get them
or closer to you. There.
Am I loud enough?
That's good.
No, Steve, a little louder.
Look at theater.
All right, any member comments? Tom Spence?
You need to just do them one at a time, otherwise you guys will get all this stuff coming in. If whoever's speaking up, then they flip on the phone, otherwise it should stay on and it'll be okay.
First off, I'd like to congratulate our new board members.
Thank you.
Welcome. Hopefully, you'll have a smooth time in that. I just have an idea, suggestion for the golf committee. Who was the liaison? I missed that. Thank you, Steve. I support the men's and women's club. I'm not a member now, but I was for over 20 years. But what I've really noticed, and I know this is not easy, I've been the liaison in that. There's been too many Saturdays for men's and women's and MLCC tournaments. And the numbers are down in both groups. Maybe they could take a Saturday a month and combine it. That way there, it would make them get their entry in early. And then it would open up one Saturday a month more for the HOA members who don't live here, can come out on the weekend and play golf. The men's club held a par 3 tournament right after there was continuous 2 weeks of 3 days, 3 days. And that 3-part tournament had a very, very small number of people entering it. And it wrecked it for all the weekend golfers or anybody else because we couldn't play. Now, I know the men's club opened it up, but that was a last-minute thing. So maybe they need to cut down the number of days, especially on the weekends, for their tournaments, and add the MLCC tournaments as part of their tournament for that month. That way there's not too many Saturdays and Sundays that our weekend people can play golf. So it's just something to think about. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Here.
Okay, do we have any more comments? All right, then we'll go ahead and move on. We really don't have much to report on COVID at this point in time. Nothing's really changed as far as our club's concerned. So thankfully that's a good thing. As far as our food and beverage, you guys have probably noticed that we have a new operations manager, Luz, and she's doing a fantastic job. Thank you. Also, Dawn and Kai both have been promoted into floor positions. Dawn, the evening floor manager, and Kai, the day floor manager. It's really beginning to help us with being able to staff. David Cadillo has been hiring quite a few people, and we're really beginning to pick the cream of the crop, which is great. So that's becoming a better situation as far as hiring new employees. We have a person who is going to be taking Luz's old position, and that'll be starting May 2nd. His name is Mark, and have yet to meet him, but David's quite high on him, and I trust his judgment. He's a pretty sharp guy. As far as anything else with the food and beverage, we've been trying to work to be open more, and so that's one of the things they're trying to do, come up with some better menus and things like that that tailor and fit around our needs and desires. So keep your eyes open. There'll be some e-blasts going out on that. And then as far as the condition of the club, as far as that portion goes, we've had just from our financials, our golf course management or maintenance has been doing quite well. Part of that is because they are missing a assistant superintendent, but they ended up managing to come up with a positive $16,106 over budget, which is great. Unfortunately, the clubhouse was down $3,309. Food and beverage took a huge hit last month in March. We were closed for 3 weeks, and I'm talking Friday, Saturday, Thursday as well. So we took a beating on that. A lot of overtime for the kids that did show up, because those that didn't, we had to have people fill in and make up for them. So we had a minus of $21,590, which is huge. Golf shop, same thing with overtime. They were at $2,735. As a whole, we were down about $11,528 between those four portions. So anyways, we're looking forward to having that diminish and stronger returns in the months to come. You guys have been supporting our food and beverage, which is great. We appreciate it, and that's really helping.
I'd like to comment on the F&B. The number is 21,000 out of budget. As he said, there was a lot of overtime because we had a lot of call-offs. We also, the cost of goods is higher when we're doing the buffets. And the reason they did the buffets is because there was no employees, no servers. So that's kind of the catch-22 with that. So that's why we really want our help to show up for work. And then lastly, there was a $8,000 worth of invoices that were discovered that were turned in December. So those actually went into that, excuse me, into those March financials. That's all.
I have a couple comment cards from people. These are the ones that I've received. One individual, Carolyn Gross, had mentioned that she wanted music at this year's Easter brunch. Unfortunately, we didn't have that, but we did have a wonderful brunch. And we have another person here, Debbie Schrader, who wanted to comment on how well the Ladies Invitational ended up going, and she was very appreciative of that, and the food and beverage. Got another individual here, Ron Jemerson. He was wishing that we did a better job answering phones for takeout. So we are working on that and trying to improve that with food and beverage. And lastly, Mark Oshman and Melinda, they've been here for 16 years and they love their New York steak and cod. So that was nice to have some positive comments and some others. Okay, the next thing we have is committee reports and architectural, which is me. I'll start with that. We need to approve these particular people. We have a chair, so I'd like to make a motion to approve these people. Brian Fortner as chairperson. The voting members would be Harry Wilson, Marina Schofield, Marshall Michael, Kenneth Summers, Mike Flanders, and Pat Savage. So can I get a second on that? That's my motion. Second?
Second.
Okay. So any discussion? Okay. How many yeas?
Aye.
Okay. The alternatives would be Jim O'Keefe and Louis Higley.
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
There we go. Lastly, on ACC, I need to bring forth, we have a new home going in on Brayburn, and it's the corner of Brayburn and Brookline. We would like to, I'd like to have an approval on that. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the new home on Brayburn that was brought forth by the ACC committee. Can we get a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That moves. Next up would be condo association. Do we have anybody from the condo association that would like to speak? Okay, then next would be Bill Aldrich with the Finance and Credit Committee.
I would like to move to approve myself as chair by rule. And the voting members, Susan Rumsauer, Steve Ekstrand, Connie Preston, Chester Hobbs, Shelley Daly, and Jack Peterson. And the alternates will be Jim Smitham, Courtney Moe, Gail Williams, and Judy Grant.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
We have, in that same Finance and Credit Committee, you'll see on the agenda that we formed a subcommittee which we are looking at developing improvements in the financial packages that we receive every month to give us more vision, if you will, on trends and so that we can not spend so much time going through the specific numbers, but more trying to understand if we're going in the right direction. So that is. I didn't include David Cadillo is on that as well. So the other part of that is that we are also proposing or developing a plan to improve greatly our budget process. And quickly, the budget process is typically started with the department heads putting together a budget for their individual departments with really no guidance as to what the parameters or what they should be thinking about. And so basically what we would like to do with the new process is to actually I'll say in the mid-July timeframe, start working and tracking benchmarking of the different indices and benchmark tools and club benchmark that we actually use now. And we'll come up with at least a going in position on how we want the departments to address their needs and give them some guidance with not only the departments but also with what we think the salary and wages will be for the year. And so the thought there is that once we get towards the end and perhaps the indices go up or down, we can make that adjustment at that time, but eliminate that from the department heads trying to keep track of that every day. So that's the going in position. And then once that is presented to the board approves it, then we'll give that to the department heads. The department heads will then go with vision then and some guidance and prepare their budgets. And then once they prepare the budgets, the controller, myself, and the general manager and the department heads will review the budgets they prepared, make sure it's clean and that we didn't miss anything. And then the idea is this is over a phase of like 3 months. We plan on bringing the finance committee back for an on-site meeting for 3 to 5 days to knock it out, to go through this whole thing, being on site. We can bring in the department heads and do some reviews, and we actually expect to have the budget complete in the September timeframe as opposed to the early November timeframe. And again, we can, as time goes on and we get more information, we can understand where we're going from the financial side, the indices. We can make the last minute adjustments before we vote on approval of that budget for next year. It's just a better way of doing it. And so those are typically sent out at the end of November. Okay? Sorry for the long-winded comments. I'd like to move to approve the checks over 1,000 from both operations and reserve accounts for March of 2022.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All ayes?
Aye. I'd like to move to approve the finance and credit reports for March of 2022.
Second?
I second.
Okay.
Okay.
Any discussion?
All
All for? Okay.
right. We have 3 RFCAs that aren't legally a RFCA yet until they're approved, and then we can assign a number. But I will start with the 88 bathroom grading job. We've discovered that as I understand this, the building permit previously was going to be issued, and then we were told just a few weeks ago that they would not issue the building permit unless we had a grading permit and had it graded. So that is the purpose for this GL number 8601-05 for an amount of $16,000. I move to accept that.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay, all for?
Aye.
Any nays? Okay.
Oh. Also, it was discovered James has done some work in trying to update our panel. We have I think it's a switch panel. He found one that was they're not made anymore, but he did find one, and he bought it for I think $1,000, which typically was a great deal. But what we also, after replacing that, we found out that the panel is so old that it cannot be disconnected. There's no shut-off switch on this panel, so which is not acceptable. So if we want to shut the power off, we can't do it. So this is it's a GL number 8623-05. It's an amount of $16,000, not to exceed. I move to approve that.
Second.
All for?
Aye.
Okay. Lastly, we have a GL 8635-05. It is requested by Andy Carney. It is for $31,000, and it is for the adding a cart path down to the number 12, the green and gold tees. It's actually a path that goes down one way and comes back up the other way, and that was determined by the Green Committee to be needed in case people were stacked up with their carts. So that is in the Finance Committee approved this for $31,000, and I move to approve that $31,000.
Second.
Is there discussion? Yeah, the only discussion I have is that is a complete project, right? So they're not gonna come back and say we didn't include the rails or the curve or something else.
Well, and with that in mind, these other RFCA's these are needed. These are absolutely have to have.
Right.
My finance committee approved this, and it is something that is near to my heart, and that is to make sure that we have a safe access, easy access to our tee boxes and to our greens. And we spent a lot of time designing cart paths to do that. This addresses that issue. My only heartburn with this is I'm torn because of all the work we did into these cart paths just to ease for our elderly, less able people to get to and from the greens and tees. And that is that our reserve funds are dwindling. We have a number of things. We have some expenditures coming up. It's over $100,000 here in a couple months. We borrowed $200,000 last year to close out the end of the year because of the high seat cost, because of the overtime and water and electricity. And so we're paying it back, but not at the rate we thought. And we also, of course, we borrowed from the reserve to pay off the union pension fund, and that's still outstanding is $416,000. So we're not paying that back as fast as we would like to. And my heartburn here is that I personally would like to table this and wait till a later date till we can find out where we are financially. That's all I can recommend.
I'd like to comment too, and I think I'd like to echo a lot of what Bill's saying. I think Bill and I and a lot of other golfers have seen a lot up there, and as a matter of fact, I was part of 2 or 3 people brainstorming on that project 2 or 3 years ago to see how we could get some of our seniors down to those gold tees that play those in a safe manner, and right now it's anything but perfect. We've been living with what we've had for years. We've talked a little bit about the potential for injuries, which we're all going to look at, but with our reserve funding so anemic right now and these huge expenditures we got coming this year, and some of these really are more than due to be addressed, according to Davis Sterling, on repaying those reserve funds. And we're kind of bumping up against a timeline that would be outside of what they would recommend. I want to see this project happen, but I would be a no this year myself, just based on my concerns about that reserve fund balance.
Yeah, I agree with what David said. I agree with tabling this till a later date.
Absolutely.
I do too.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a comment with regard to this cart path situation. I think you should also check to make sure that we own the property that you intend to put this cart path on. Because if you look closely, you're going to find out that we don't.
No, I'm aware that we don't own that property.
You're not aware of it.
I am aware of the fact that we do not own that property.
Then to put a cart path on it, you need permission.
I second.
If the motion was made, there was a motion made to approve it, and then it was seconded, so we need to remove that motion.
We can just vote it down.
Let's just vote it down with the original motion.
Okay, correct. So we have our discussion, we have a first and a second in discussion, so all in favor?
Nay.
All opposed? Nay. Okay.
I know we just got the last.
So, but it needs, we have a number of projects that the Greens Committee has done a lot of good work on, and they've been tabled because of this exact same reason, and they keep stacking up. They're just stacking up, and we have to prioritize those when this comes back down, and safety and is a big issue. So it would probably be a priority. But we have other areas that there are certain people, we're aiming at taking care of these people that have difficulties, but there's also other projects that we shelved for 2 years that will serve us all. So we just have to keep that in mind as well.
I just want to add that this is absolutely no knock on the Greens Committee, because this was a, other than the ownership issue, which I had not considered, which is, I think, is a great point, Rick. This was a well thought out project, and it's a fair price for what's involved.
Yep.
And I'd like to see it done eventually. But we're just kind of in a financial crisis right now, and we just have to be really careful. And so that's our priority right now: complying with the law, complying with liability issues. But the wish list has to be pushed out a little bit.
You know, staying on that same point for just a second, our first priority, and even though we may be protected well with our insurance, I would say there's nobody on this board that wants to see anybody get hurt. And whether or not we're protected as a club probably isn't any more important, not as important as that our members are safe up there. So my commitment, and I'd be shocked if anybody else here wouldn't make the same commitment, that if there's anything we can do to enhance safety while we're waiting for this project up there, whether it's moving the handrail to the other side of that sidewalk going down the hill, grinding some of these slippery cart paths, I know they're a temporary fix, but from a budget standpoint, we could probably enhance safety and not have to.
Can I make a suggestion that we just move the green and the gold down to the orange tee boxes? That'll make it safe. Yeah.
She'll bring that up to the Greens Committee, though.
It's way too short.
All right, so we have
So we have one more.
One more.
That would change the rating of the whole course.
Right. Yeah. And the scorecards and that.
One more comment. You know, if anybody would really look at the ownership of that piece of property, you might be able to talk the owners into donating that for nothing if you just approach them properly. So somebody needs to be the guy in charge to try to do that. Because this is going to be a problem from now on. Because at any time, the property owners come up and say, you know what, I didn't realize this. Get rid of your cart path, get rid of your tee boxes. I don't want them out there. So let's secure our course properly by making sure that that property does belong to us. That's first. Then if you want to make the cart path or whatever you want to do, go for it. But make sure you own it first.
Well, even if
Allow
we
somebody
didn't,
to tear it down for you.
even if we didn't own it, it's common practice to get a 100-year lease for $1 or some nominal amount, and then the ownership would still stay with that, and all we would have in place is some concrete. So there is some options there.
Yeah, logically you can do that.
Okay. Lastly, we have our last future RFCA, which General Ledger number 8613-05. It is an amount of $6,400 and requested by David Cadillo, our controller, and it is the money is to be used for upgrading our mobile point of sale system, the stations, and to purchase, they're not laptops, but they're tablets for the servers to use, which is intended to speed up our not only our food delivery, but our drink deliveries. And it also includes updating the Jonas system as the host system and eliminate these GNA operations patches. And that is an amount of $6,400, and that's my motion.
I second.
All four?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, that's it.
All right, Mr. Steve.
Bill, you never did get a motion to approve your new committee members.
I did on the finance, but not on the green yet. I was going to
No,
do
on the finance committee, nobody voted on it.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
Not your subcommittee.
At least I heard it.
Yeah.
The subcommittee. Yeah, the subcommittee is just a. Subcommittee.
An amendment or anything.
Yes, Tom.
Couple items. We've discussed going to the owner and getting permission and that, and it's one of those things is, what happens if you have an issue with the owner? The owner says, oh, I own that land, and that, so that's been some of the logic for not going to him earlier. My next items are, what is our reserve amount right now?
It fluctuates, as you know.
I know, but we say 2,800,000.
2.7 million at the moment.
Yeah, our comments are, we're done with it. Yeah, this,
I'm sorry, Tom.
we had that opportunity.
Well,
Thank
I don't
you.
think,
Thank you.
I think we're in a
Steve,
much better
let's
position.
go on.
We got 700,000 coming into COVID.
Steve, can we just move on with the
All right.
meeting?
I'm the golf committee liaison. I'd like to move that we approve co-chairs Shelley Daly, Sue Ketchup, I need to make an addition there, and George Acevedo as the 3 co-chairs for the golf committee, with voting members of Andy Carney, Pat Hobbs, Barry Ayers, Jane Luke, and alternate Dwayne Liebelt.
Second.
All 4?
Aye.
All right. Green Committee.
Just a sec, or do you want the?
Oh, the other.
Yeah. Just give me a second here to mark down Stanley. It's hard to participate and take notes.
That's maybe you got it.
And you know the sad part is I've done this for 8 years in 3 different organizations.
That's why nobody wanted
and
that job.
I still ended up getting this job knowing better. My wife says it just confirms what an idiot I am.
Are we voting on that?
Talked about how hard it is.
She just smiles with grace.
I just told him, don't come complaining to me.
I can drive a car and I can play golf. That's really the only 2 skills I have. I maybe fudged a little at the forum.
I was gonna say, you should have mentioned that.
I'm going to proceed with the Green Committee.
I just have a real short golf report.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Just
I'm sure your wife will volunteer to take notes for you.
Of course, at the end of March, we had the member guest for the Men's Golf Association, which was a very exciting event. From my perspective, because on election day I was in the playoff and made it to the 9th hole, the very last hole, where Ted Meyer hit a 280-yard driver from the first fairway over the trees right in front on the upslope to the green in 2. And so I don't think I lost the member guest. I think Ted Meyer and his son won it, and they're buddies of mine, and I was really thrilled for what was maybe the greatest shot I've ever witnessed. Pro, amateur, anything. So that was amazing. It was a blast. I know that there were some issues with how many meals there were, and I think Andy Carney could probably talk my ear off for an hour about what went wrong with that. I just know as a participant side of it, it was one of the most fun events that I've ever been a part of. So I think it was really a positive for MLCC to put on an event like that. I hear the same about the women's event, and I saw Greg Stark's pictures of that, and it looked again like an absolutely wonderful event. So thank you to all the hard work by the people who put on those 2 large, really our flagship events in the men and women's clubs this year. We also had the reverse par 3 in April, which was a very fun event. One of the problems, as Tom brought out, is we do have a lot of Saturday fills, and the problem with a reverse par 3 like that is it means that we really can't backfield the shotgun with other players who are not in the tournament. So that is a concern. And looking forward, tournaments like the cross country, tournaments like the reverse par 3, those are Saturdays where nobody's going to be able to play until the afternoon. So that is an issue that should be in the back of our minds there for sure. In the May event, we have the cross country, as I said. There will be lunch involved with that for $40. It's a mixed event, ABCD scramble, and the pro shop sets up your groups. We also have the Elks tournament on April 30th. We moved the Elks tournament to the afternoon to give them a better price, and less effect on the members. So we're not taking out another Saturday morning, and they seem fine with that. I think it's going to work out better for everybody having that tournament in the afternoon. There is one concern I heard expressed about maybe being a little careful with the Marines and some of the guests about going home too late. And that's something that I've always thought that when we put on a party, put on an event, that you should be responsible with ride shares and stuff like that. You should go have a good time. I always say go have a good time and be responsible about it. And that's a community effort, not just the individual. And we also have an outside tournament. It's the Coachella Valley Cannabis Association. And apparently, I don't know much about this tournament, but I went online and took a look at it and stuff. And they're claiming, I don't know if it's just marketing puffery, but they're claiming there's only like one group left. The tournament's nearly full. I find that surprising, but what do I know? Cannabis is huge in the valley here, so.
Are they giving out free samples?
Maybe some CBD oil for golfer back,
Dave, what day is that?
That is May 6th. It's a Friday. And it's Friday morning. So, and I did not check there. There is a listing for a afternoon scramble that Friday afternoon. So I guess it's going out in the morning. It doesn't interfere with our Friday scrambles. That's all I have.
Okay. I'm the liaison for the Green Committee this year, and therefore I move to approve Chester Hobbs as the chair of the Green Committee, and Jane Anderson, Jack Peterson, Barb Northrup, and Dan Borelli as voting members, and Dean Carter as a alternate, and Prem Lala as an alternate.
I second.
All four?
Aye.
Okay.
Oh, House Committee. We're not ready to announce our members. We're a little bit light on participation, and I'd just like to say to any of the members that participate in these groups, these committees, it is just so appreciated, and it's a thankless job at times, and I know this House Committee, Candy Drury has led us for over a year now, and that House Committee, boy, you talk about a lot of workhorses that just go out and do great things for the memberships, and a lot of the focus has been on decorating for these parties to make it special. One of the things that we're going to be doing this year is we're going to be focusing on a lot of our other duties that we used to do as a House Committee, and look at the plant a little bit more, and put a sharp eye to the things that sometimes we walk over, look past in painting, carpet, structure related. Now I know that the mission statement of this has been changed over the years, but I think this committee is going to try and get back to its roots a little bit and do all we can that our charter is anyway. But we had a good meeting. We talked about the Cinco de Mayo party coming up, and anybody that's going to be here, it looks and sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. I know our GM/president has had some wonderful input and some great ideas on that in the committee as well. And then of course the F&B, I'm sure that the interim general managers met with them. We will not be voting on the members of that committee today. We will do that in the future when we get a little more participation.
Thank you, Dave. Member communications.
Okay, as of right now, I've got 3 committed people. for the Member Communications Committee. That would be Lacey Louv Clausen, Greg Stark, and I talked to Mari Schofield last night. Jill Wolf. Jill, are you here? Her name was given to me. I've tried to contact her and I haven't heard back. So as of right now, I talked to Mari last night, and I'd like to have her as the chair, and with Lacey and Greg as voting members.
We have a second?
Second.
All for?
Aye.
Aye. That's approved. Okay, Neighborhood Watch, Tommy.
Okay, so Neighborhood Watch and Cops Committee, we are not at a point where we're ready to approve members at this point due to low participation as well. But Larry Caribou is here, and do you have anything you'd like to say about Neighborhood Watch and Cops?
Yes. Yes, we had our 10-year anniversary last month. It actually was 10 years in April, but I moved it to March so the snowbirds could participate in our 10-year anniversary, and that was held on the 29th. And I had the office send out many invites to the members to come participate and have cake and drinks with us. And I was very disappointed that we only had one member from other than our cops members participate, and that was David Stanley, and I thank you, David, for showing up. But I was really looking forward to seeing more people come and participate and appreciate our 10 years of our service, and it was just a little disappointing. Anyway, so during our 10 years, we put 101,519 miles on our patrol cars. We had 26 members when we started. We now have around 12, and we have 3 that are not active. And we have 3 new volunteers that are taking their paperwork or their applications with the Sheriff's Department. And in our meeting there, the officer, Stacy, said that the new forms or new applications should take no more than 3 weeks now. And we still don't know what the rest of the training is going to be about. So anyway, I just touched a little bit on some of the incidents here. We still continue to have several garage doors open, and we had a little incident here on 8571 Warwick, where the property has been really run down, and we were keeping an eye out for squatters, and that's kind of a good sign. Not a good sign, but a sign that, when the place starts to fall apart like that, the squatters like to move in. So anyway, another item too, we notified owners about packages being left outside their door, and just to give them a call or knock on their door and tell them they have a package. That's just one of the things that we'd like to do. And then on April 3rd, there was a gas, a car was siphoned gas out of it over here in La Costa. And then we had this complaint about this white Ford 150 down here in Clubhouse, and it had been parked there for some time. Anyway, it turns out that it belonged to one of the members who had it parked across the street. Anyway, it's not an issue anymore. One of the condo owners contacted us and said they had a battery charger stolen from their golf cart. I guess they left it outside with their golf cart, and that's just kind of an open. Come and get it if you like. You need a charger. And the residents stopped one of our patrol people that let them know again about a black Camaro speeding up and down Augusta, always continuously.
Yes.
So, and then back on the 17th, there was, I guess it must have been around 8 o'clock at night, but there was like 3 golf carts got stuck on the other side of the fence where the gate was locked. So, I don't know who they were.
Partying up the hill.
Anyway, okay.
I know who they were.
All right. That's pretty much it. I just wanted to make one comment about the board members. I think it would be a good gesture that the board members remove their hat that are having this meetings. Thank you.
Larry?
Barb, do you have a question?
Are you considering combining the two committees?
No, we just
Neighborhood
separated.
Watch and Cops? Are they combined?
No,
Can
but they
go
just got
separate?
separated this year. No, there's 2 different groups.
I'd like to comment on Larry and Jaime's group in that COPS and the event they had on the 10-year, Larry? 10 year. And what a well-run professional representation of the members of this club. I was thoroughly impressed with the way the meeting was handled, the professionalism in these members that do COPS. I see Elizabeth here and Dwayne and you know, we're not a gated community, and we have our issues with crime once in a while, and we all say, boy, it's getting out of control. But I'm telling you, without that car going around and these people that are willing to get out there day and night and do this, we'd have a different club. And so if you know anybody or anybody watching at home or here knows anybody that might be willing to be in that committee, I visited with Larry a little bit, and I think Larry would love to see 3 or 4 more at least. Isn't that the number you were talking about?
I like 10.
10 more. That's all we ask.
If you get 50% out of that, it's pretty good then.
Oh, thank you, Larry.
So I see 1, 2, 3, 4.
I just want to say that I handed out awards too during that time. I handed out a 5-year pin to Dwayne LaBelle, and Andy Carney wasn't there, but I dropped it off at his house for his 5 years. And then 10-year pins were handed out to Julie Dawson, Mike Flanders, Hubert Kohler, and myself, and Velma Burnell, who's in assisted living right now. I'm going to drop that off hopefully next week. And then Elmer Walker, who's recovering from throat cancer. I dropped it off to him too. Anyway, they were all the original ones that were there. And we've lost quite a few people that moved or passed away out of our original group. Anyway, thank you.
I just want to say that COPS is a very structured program. It is a program with specific requirements and addresses specific needs. If we're going to have a neighborhood watch committee as well, we probably need to take a look and examine and define that role and make it clear. Because I know volunteers have been asking me, well, there's COPS. I understand what COPS does, and it's really cool. Neighborhood Watch, what do they do? Why do we have 2 committees? And I understand that there are some very good reasons to have the 2 committees. I just think it needs to be better defined and better communicated. That's my 2 cents. Okay. All right, Pool and Rec.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to approve for the Pool and Rec Committee. Chair, Eddie Baxter. Voting members, Holly King, Carla Long, Tim Hagan, Larry Caribou. Our alternates would be Karen Pike, Tom Spence, Bill Rhodes, Kim Ladd, with members Marguerite Johnson and Annie Hester. And Heidi Arsenault has already informed us she does not want to participate this year.
I'd like to have my name spelled right at least. I'm Bill Rhodes, and it should be Rhoads, no E.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I second. All 4?
All right.
Okay, and I'd like to ask our chairperson if he has anything that he'd like to say today about what's kind of going on.
You know, I think, okay, I'll just take a second, all right? I promise I won't linger. And I want to start with, our president, Mr. Nelson, has helped out with this ADA restroom project a lot. We've worked together on this for a while, and this recent RFCA had to do with the grading. And believe me when I say that, because we were concerned with Riverside County and the permit process for the last 15 months that we worked on this, we had an architect that ran that permit program. So you couldn't come back to us and say, well, you guys screwed this up. So we had this right, and we had a sign off from the county on moving forward with this project. And then, lo and behold, we had an inspector come out about 2 or 3 weeks ago and say, guess what? You're going to have to get a permit and regrade this project before you can go forward. So that's what's caused this delay. And Jim has worked very closely with the contractor now to get a reduced price to grade the project and ultimately grade the parking area. Because until we do the whole project, we can't get a permit to operate or to open that restroom. So there's more to come on this. We talked with the Finance Committee the other day. They'd like to see the whole project approved. That will happen in time once we get a chance to review all the finances. And as Bill and Jim had alluded to, we have to be careful about how much we spend on it. But this has been going on for like 3 or 4 years. So it's time to move forward with it. It is a federal standard and we have to do it. So, but thanks again, Jim, and for all of those that have worked on this project. It is appreciated.
Okay. And that would be the old business, probably. New business. Did you want to go ahead and read?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have due to the alleged technical violations, which could potentially impact action taken by the board during the previous 3 years, whether via board resolution or board motion and open session of the board of directors, collectively is board action. I hereby move that the board of directors ratify all board action taken during the past 36 months.
Second.
Any discussion? All for?
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, motion passes. Okay, and then on new business, one of the things that we've been discussing, and we discussed with our staff as well, we've gone back and forth several times, is the 18% service charge that's being charged to our members. Originally, the reason behind it was we were told by prior individuals that our members don't tip. Now, I know there are those that do, and there are those that don't. So what we were considering was doing a trial run of removing the 18% gratuity and proving these people wrong, that our members do tip. And we aren't what we were accused of being, and it's bad tippers. So, since so many folks did not want to have that on there, the tips would be divided as they would at a normal restaurant. So your server would be getting the lion's share of the amount. Everybody else would be tipped out in typical restaurant fashion, your busboys, your hostess, your bartender, expediters, all that kind of good stuff. So that would actually be done by Luz, who is the operations manager. She would be doing that. Anything that's a member charge would go into the waitress's number and then dispersed equally amongst the other people based on the percentages. So if it's 5% that goes to a busser and 10% to a bartender, it would come out of each one of those individuals' purses. The thing there is that the people that hustle and get bigger tips because they give you better service are going to benefit, and the ones that do not will probably not get as much money. So I believe that's one of the things that our members were really wanting to see changed for quite a long time. There still will be a service charge on any banquets and buffet type dinners and events. So the events will be all inclusive type things. Those will already have the service charge put on there. And those will be dispersed equally because everybody's kind of pitching in and doing a little of this and a little of that. Eventually with the POS system, you'll be able to actually punch your tip in right there, see what the cost would be, and everything will be done at the table, which will make things a lot quicker and a lot more efficient, meaning that we should be able to turn our dining room over at least once a night. So we can have almost in a way two seatings, and we can benefit from that.
Yeah, Jim, what about the sandwich? How do you handle the tipping there?
Same thing. So let's tip them as well.
You go to Chicken Land and then...
If Chicky and our bartenders, everybody throughout, if you're buying a beverage off the cart, remember to take care of these people because they're not making major wages. They rely on their tips and your gratitude there. So that's how they make their living. So we don't want to just not put it on there. We will put reminders on the tables as well to let people know that at this point in time, make sure you do leave a tip because otherwise they will get nothing. And we'll check it out and see how it goes. If this doesn't work out, then we'll go back to the 18%. And we just...
18% on home delivery as well?
Home delivery, what we're looking at there is well, we don't actually do a home delivery at this point in time because we don't have home delivery drivers. If we can get a home delivery driver, then what will happen is there'll be a service charge for a delivery like you would at a pizza joint. And then if you want to go ahead and tip that guy, that's his money. The hostess will be the one, when she brings your order up, you can tip her, and that'll go to the hostess. But in reality, that's not an 18% type of a thing. I would think that, you tip her whatever you want, but, that's not like she's been doing this for 2 hours and bringing drinks to you and doing all this kind of good stuff. So it's mainly just us showing our gratitude towards our servers and showing them that we're good people and that we will do the right thing, and that is tip our people. And so that's...
If I could add a little input to that, the board is individually, not as a corporate group, we would be doing our brainstorming in not executive session, but in an agenda meeting like we had this week, and members that were here for that, it's greatly appreciated. We had great discussions with the members that were here, and I would sure encourage anybody that could go to that agenda meeting to be there, because that's really where the brainstorming for this board has to occur, because we can't do that in executive session. We can't do it today, so we need to do it in an open forum and get the input of the members. But back to this point, some of the fact finding that I did in that and did a light audit, we are absolutely ridiculously under tipping in the bar and in the sandwich. I mean, it's graphic. And so there's a huge deficiency there. And then going back to this, like Jim said, this is going to have to be on a trial basis, because this may not be entirely possible or entirely palatable for our staff. They may not be in full favor of this, and our first priority is to keep these people here, especially throughout the summer. So tip often and tip large would be my advice. And then after this temporary period is up, I think there are some other options. I personally hate the idea of just saying it didn't work for 2 months, we got to revert right back because we couldn't do it as adults. and couldn't take care of our people. So I think there's some other options out there, but this next 2 months is going to be, we're all going to be looking at the numbers on that. So.
Well, won't that new system help? The new POS?
I think that new POS, and Jim could speak to this better, but yeah.
The POS system will actually start at 15%, 20, and then 25. It'll be actually something that your server will put in front of you. So it kind of, if that doesn't guilt you into giving them a good tip, nothing will, right? But it's actually, it'll actually show what the amount is. And they base the tip off of what the sales are, not the tax. So I just do it off of whatever it is. I mean, if my bill's $140, then I just tip them $30. But yeah.
Since we're tracking all the members with regard to the bar and the restaurant and the sandwich and whatever, can't you print out who is tipping and who ain't?
That's really private information. That wouldn't be good. I don't think that would be good, Rick.
That would not be good, Rick.
Well, that's the lawyer friend, because
we can give you the big A of shame on the back here.
I don't think so.
We got those posters, you know, as you walk into the poster.
Yeah, there you go. We'll just put the poster on the front door.
I'd like to point out that, like, I leave cash a lot. Is that going to be, how is that going to be?
Cash would also be taken and would be distributed the same way.
It probably won't show up on our audit though, and that is going to be a problematic. I mean, we're really looking at this audit in 2 months, folks, and so I would say maybe for the next 2 months, and I know this is going to be hugely unpopular, I'd like to see it where we can actually track the tips, and I'm all in favor of the cash tips, and I know they love it. But over the next 2 months, I'd like to really, I would like to see what we're actually doing.
Yeah, it's easier with number charge.
I would like to see it. With the new Jonas system, we're going to be able to track things a lot better. And so we will know, it'll give us a real good idea of what's going on and how much money is being tipped. And those servers, it's really their livelihood, and they need to be tipped. So if all of us can impress upon you all, please tip generously if they are doing a really good job for you, and show them how much we appreciate them, because it's important, and we don't want to, as a group here, go back to putting the 18% back on. So, like Mr. Stanley said, we have some other options that we'll be looking at, but we're sure hoping that we can just do this with the membership. This is something that the membership has brought forth to us that they want this removed. And so we looked into it, and this is what we're doing. So now we're going to be hoping that you guys will reciprocate and tip well, please.
So Richard, to answer your comment, I've had David Gadillo run a tip report using Jonas system. So that's the data mining that we've done to understand where we're at with the tips. And that also, I've asked him to make sure that was something that can be run on a weekly basis to give to our managers so that they know what's going on, and so we can keep pace with that. And maybe do a little PR here and there to boost it if needed. But your comment is spot on.
I think we have Wendy and then Susan.
Yeah.
Wendy?
One of the things that I was going to mention, before we did the 18%, there were people that made cash tips, and they would write on the receipt where it said tip, they would write cash, so that, because there were people that were saying that we weren't tipping. We were just paying it in cash.
Mm-hmm.
So, because there were servers that were saying, well, you're not getting any tips, but they were, it's just that they were not getting them included on the member charge sheet or ticket or whatever it was called.
It's probably best if we do put it on either member charge or a credit card for this time period.
Susan has a comment back there.
Yeah.
I'd like to also make sure that the 18% is removed from the frozen food meats that you get downstairs. Because last year I had a Canadian client who could not come down here because of COVID,
they ordered over $600 because they had to have that 480 plus.
Mhm.
Then they had to pay 18% service charge on it. It was like $80
Mhm.
for me to go pick it up and put it in the freezer. And I hope that will never come back, that's eliminated.
Yeah, that's not fair, yeah. Yeah.
Jim, you just might want to tell them the POS system might not be in until the end of summer. Right? That's what David said.
Yeah, it could be a little while before they're on that, but for the time being, yeah, if we could really do, either credit card or member charge, it would help.
Oh, yeah.
Anita? Anita.
Yeah, Susan, you being in the business, wouldn't your servers tip, they would get the tip and then they tip the busboys? Isn't that normal?
Yes, that's exactly, yeah.
So is that done here or could we do it here?
That's exactly how that goes. It will be up to the servers to tip out as what they know. And servers are really good about that when your busser and the runners and everybody that's out there working, they all deserve a portion of that tip, and that's exactly how that goes.
Yeah, the way it actually works is every server will have a number, and they will tip out, and it'll go towards the busboys, to the bartenders, and all that kind of good stuff. That'll be divided up by lose, so there's already a percentage that's put in there, and so it'll automatically be done.
Give this suggestion, if you're gonna have a reminder on the tables.
Yes.
Yeah.
You might put in there, for tracking purposes, please use your member charge or credit card.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, and we'll do e-blast on it as well, and we'll try to make people aware. We're looking at most likely doing this the first part of May, so we'll let you guys know exactly when it is. Right now, we're just still finishing out the month, business as usual, but that's what we'll end up going to. So, all right.
One more question. In regard to that food and beverage stuff, is there any intention to publish a drink menu?
Yes.
Thank you. Do you know approximately when that will come out?
We actually have a menu, but we are going to actually do one which would have MLCC signature drinks, and then there'll also be a posting of all the individual alcoholic beverages. So, if you want Johnny Walker Black, you know what it's going to cost you.
And I want to also add to that, Rick, you'll be very happy. Everybody here will be very happy. We've delved in this.
It's not that I'm unhappy with what we pay for the drinks here. The problem is that the price of the same drink changes minute to minute.
Yeah.
That's the reason we're doing this.
And that's why I just went over everything.
And on the same ticket,
I understand.
they had 3 different prices.
I understand.
And that's going to be changed, so you'll have everything.
You'll have everything in black and white.
Your happy hour amount, which is 50 cents off a drink. Pretty much everything else will just be, if you order it on Monday, it's going to be the same price on Saturday. It doesn't matter.
One other thing I'd like to, one other thing that I think you ought to look into, and that is, it's happened to me and Susan and several of the other people I know, that when they're having a good time, we're drinking good, we're eating good, we get our ticket. And there's been several times where I've said, call the waitress over and said, look, this is not right. I've been here all afternoon, 4 hours, had dinner, drinks. My ticket says I only spent $30. How is that possible? He said, well, it's not right. I said, no, we have this and this and this and this and this and this.
Right.
By the time I'm done, I'm paying the right amount, which is $75.
Yeah, with the new.
So there's a lot of stuff that isn't getting charged for.
The new POS will solve that problem.
They've been saying it about the new system in there since I've been here since.
Yeah, but this is a
It's coming now.
whole different
No,
COS
it already
system.
Yeah, it's gonna make a big
It's on
difference.
the way.
Okay, well, that's what I mean. This isn't the first time.
So we need to overcharge you about $1,000.
Well,
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Now we're not 21 behind, we're only 20.
you know what,
Jim, wasn't Zambrano's drink the one drink you raised the price on?
Yeah.
there's one other caveat to this new POS system and what it's going to do, especially when we're trying to get up to speed with servers and whatnot. You come in and sit down, we're going to get your drink order right away. It's going to be with that handheld, what was it, tablet. It's going to get shot right back to the bar. Hopefully the bartender will be making that drink before that person taking your cocktail order is even back there. We'd like to have a drink in your hand between 3 and 5 minutes versus 15 minutes because I think everybody's more patient when they have a drink in their hand. Maybe we can sell more drinks, dude.
Yes.
By the way, 25 minutes is a long
Yeah,
time.
there's always a method behind the madness. Okay. Lien delinquents. Do we have one? No lien delinquents. So, I guess I gotta pick a number then. I think we're down to, oh, yes, one more question.
Well, actually, I wanted you to get done with that. One of the things that you've mentioned, and a lot of us know, is that we have a new food and beverage operations, we have new leads, we have new person in the golf shop, and this is not getting out. Why can't we be notified when and promotions, and we have new hires, why can't that come out to us? Why do we have to, hope that we hear?
Well, actually, with the food and beverage thing, we were waiting until we actually got the fact that these people wanted to actually take these positions. So that just happened very recently. And so we will be putting that out in the next e-blast. And we didn't make it in this one, so it will be going out.
David is on. One more thing, and this is procedural, and Steve outlined it perfectly. On your executive session items, you have two things that don't belong. One is organizational and financial. Legal, yes. Member issue, yes. Those are both covered under executive session. But financial and organizational should be done in open session.
Good. Since we're not talking about either one, we don't need to worry about it.
I talked to Wayne about the organizational part, and I guess maybe we need a different word for that. But that is discussions where you're talking about adding or eliminating positions, where if that became public knowledge, it may...
That's an employee issue.
Yeah, it's an employee issue, right? Okay. So maybe we should call that, just lump that under employee issue. That's good advice. I like that.
Yeah, and we're not discussing those issues anyway, so.
Larry, one thing, where do we stand with hiring a new general manager? Do we have anything going on there yet?
We have gotten a couple of, 8, now 9. We just got a 9th today. Unfortunately, a lot of them are tending to be PGA professionals without the certification that we're looking for. We want a club manager. We want somebody that's going to manage the club. If we wanted more PGA guys, then we wouldn't really be having an
I
issue.
kind of like the one we got now.
we like you too.
My wife will kill me, but I appreciate that. But no, seriously, we really want to put somebody in this position who's going to take this and roll with it and be here for years to come, who is going to give us a great service. And that's really what we're looking to try to do. We don't want to have to go do this in another year or two. I think all of us are probably agreeing with that. So if we can get somebody who's well-versed, well-qualified, and seasoned in his position or her position, then that's who we're looking for. And I expressed that to the search guy the last time we spoke, that we really want to have somebody that's certified. We're not looking for another guy that can play golf.
Thank you very much.
You got it. Okay, let's go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Oh,
Don't you have to vote on that you're going to change the service charge?
oh, yes. Well, do we have to vote on that? 'Cause I don't know. We have, well, no, we have to do it in open session, so. Okay, well, let's go ahead and we'll make it official then. Anybody want
Yeah,
to?
I'll move that we roll back the 18% service charge, except for those limited situations like banquets, events, and large parties.
For a temporary period of time.
For a trial period of 60.
No, just a trip.
A trial period of approximately?
No.
No?
Just what?
60 days? And where we will examine whether the staff is okay with the level of tipping this club is doing.
Second.
All for? Aye. Okay, so move it. All right, and our meeting is adjourned at what time? I know.
Yeah, they added numbers. I thought I was going to have to count. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to pick a number that probably never gets picked, and that's number 1.
I know that.
Susan Zambrano. Definitely number 1 never gets picked.
I gave her the barrel first, so she should split that.
No one ever picked.
Oh, good, guys. Yeah, trust me. Don't fall down on your way.
Just to make this feel first. Barb.
They lost my application. I was thinking, did they throw me out? I didn't want to. I'll fill out another one.
Good.
You go right ahead, sir. How you doing, Barb? How you doing?
Yeah, you're on the court.
You got to remember 50% are really small. You got to guys like David have to remember.
Okay, and I'll be back in class.
Over 40, 50 years.
5 weeks now. That's good. Everybody stays healthy. No, I know that. That's my biggest fear. You know, I mean, we get screwed. That's why I try to get no salary. charge hourly wage for it, because I don't know what's going to happen in some other. I'm going to use the little voice room before I go. Catch up. Excuse me, I'll see you.
And,